Hello and welcome back to the Alicia Show. I feel like I have to do a introduction to myself, especially if you're new here. Firstly, I'd love to just say thank you so much. I hope you have gone back and listened to previous episodes and you're getting to know me and my guests. And I am just super, super excited that you have decided to come along this journey with me and the other listeners. So, a little bit of background of who I am and what I do. So my name's Alicia Harris. I have a business called Alicia Lifestyle, and I talk all about business strategies and business growth and implementation and how we can do it from a holistic perspective. So I used to work in corporate and I burned out a lot. And in that time where I was burning out, I didn't realize that's what was happening. I just continued to push myself again because that's what you do, right? That's what you do when you're young. You just keep it moving because you have the energy to do so. And it isn't until you realize that your body is falling apart and you are not well that you realize that maybe this is not the way I am supposed to be living. And so, through this podcast and through the guests that I have, we have really frank conversations on how we're building our businesses, but we are also making sure that we are healthy and we are doing things to ensure that we are not just trying to be busy career women who just purely concentrate on building their brands. We are also trying to ensure that we look after ourselves. My tagline is, if you don't invest in yourself, you have no business, and you are the most important person in this brand because you are the brainchild behind it. You are the one who believes wholeheartedly about what you're doing. And so you have to be invested in your health to do that. So when I worked in corporate, I worked in project management and I had a series of roles within that industry for a lifespan of over 15 years. I also continued to study my passion, which was well-being. And so I did that hand in hand. And I have studied well-being from beauty therapy to Thai massage in the temples in Thailand to working for some of the biggest brands in the beauty industry, too much to name. Whilst working within corporate, I always loved well-being. But when you're younger and your parent says to you that you're not going to make money as a beauty therapist, you listen to a point. Because when it came to really having to study IT, I was like, no, I'm out. I need a variety in my life. And so I decided that I would work full time in corporate, but in the evenings, I would go to night school to fulfill my passion, which was well-being. And that's what I did. And that has really, really cemented my lifestyle because no matter what, I have always had a holistic perspective on things when things were starting to go awry in my own lifestyle. And so I really learned to take care of myself from a holistic place years ago, over 20 odd years ago. I always looked at alternative medicine. It's not that I didn't believe the Western medicine, but I also knew that if that didn't work, then I had an alternative to fall back on. And sometimes I would go with the Western medicine first and then look at the natural aspect of things. And then as I've grown older, I have changed my thinking a little bit more. And now I go natural first. And then if the natural doesn't work, then I will use the Western medicine. And so I'm here to talk all about well-being, in particular fibroids for me, because I know there are a lot of women who are dealing with fibroids and have to continue with their day-to-day life. And a lot of us don't know that we have got them until they show up in drastic measures. And so I'm just going to share my story with you. And I'm also going to share with you some of the things that I did to ensure that I can continue to work with my fibroids and not let them hinder me as much as they used to. Stick around until the end because I'll be sharing with you what I'm going to do for the next 21 days to ensure that I am taking care of myself, especially as I'm in the season of taking care of a little one because we are in our holiday season. And so sometimes that means that I do come second without thinking about it. And I want to make sure that throughout these 21 days that I'm really, really nourishing myself and ensuring that I'm looking after myself as well, because I always know when something does not feel right within my body. And that is a big indication to me that I have to then reset my body. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to talk about that towards the end. I would also highly recommend that you share this episode with somebody who may be going through the same. They're trying desperately to live life in all types of aspects, and they just need a little bit of reassurance or they just need a little bit of guidance. This is what I'm here to do. I love having these conversations because I think the more we talk about the things that we are going through as women in the women health industry, but also as career women, as mothers, as entrepreneurs, as just us, then we can really start to educate the younger generations as well. And I think for me, that is a big gap at the moment, that I didn't know that I had fibroids, or I didn't know about women's health or my periods or perimenopause or menopause until I started to do the work. And that's because my mother wasn't educated, and it probably stemmed back to her mother not being educated about these particular topics that are happening. Like, we are all going to go through these. And so for me, it's really, really important for me to educate myself and to help other people be educated so that I can be a teacher for my own daughter and the younger females around me too. So I found out that I had fibroids when I was trying to conceive, and I had gone through spouts of having heavy periods and periods that knocked me out, periods where I would have to take time off work and I would have to take tablet after tablet just to keep on going. And it wasn't until I did investigation work prior to trying to conceive that I recognized that one of the things that was really not helping was my lifestyle, and was the foods and the drinks and the late nights, everything that comes with working in the city with people who are doing the same. So I used to work hard and play hard. I would eat out probably 3 or 4 times a week. I would drink a lot. I would hardly sleep because of the fact that either my brain was on because of work, or because I was uncomfortable because I had drank too much or I'd eaten too much, or I just didn't feel good in my body. And so I changed that around the age of 27, 28. That's when I got really interested in juicing. And juicing is not for everybody. However, I knew for me, I was not eating enough fruit and veg. And so for me, it worked really, really well for me to get my nutrients in. And firstly, it was just about incorporating juices. And then I did a few juice cleanses, and that really helped me to feel better and to feel more energetic. And so juicing has been part of my life for the last 15 years as well. And it really helped me to just feel better within my own body. So for me, it worked, but for you, you might need to do your own investigation work, because I'm just here as somebody who wants to share and to educate, but you have to do your own research because we are all individuals. So I recognize that juicing really helped me, and it also helped my periods. It also helped how I felt around my luteal phase, the time before I was going to start to bleed. And also, whilst I was having my period, I recognized that they weren't as painful and they weren't as heavy. And so I knew that I was doing something good internally. And so I didn't know that I had fibroids, because without even knowing, I was managing them. It wasn't until I was then trying to conceive that then I was told that I had fibroids and possibly polycystic ovaries and scar tissue also. And it's really funny because I just found the letters that I received to tell me what I was diagnosed with. And one of the things that it said in one particular letter from the hospital when they were doing all of my scans and they did a internal on my fallopian tubes was that my left fallopian tube was blocked. And that's actually the fallopian tube that I conceived from. And so if you haven't heard that story previously, I'll link in the episode, but it just goes to show that sometimes you can heal your body. And I did all of that naturally. And again, I'm not saying that's your path, but I knew for me it had to be. And so let's just rewind a minute and let's give you a description of what a fibroid is. Okay, so a fibroid is a non-cancerous growth that develops in or around your womb, your uterus, and the growths are made up of muscles and fibrous tissues, and they can vary in sizes. And sometimes these are also known as uterine fibroids. So I had uterine fibroids, and I had one which was 2 centimeters, and then I had a tiny one that they said was so tiny that they didn't even measure. However, I knew that if I did not manage these two fibroids, then one, they could expand in growth, and two, they could multiply. So that was something that was really important in the back of my mind to do, because especially as you get older in age, your hormones change. So your progesterone and your estrogen levels in particular change, and those can cause growth as well of the fibroids. And so when I was diagnosed with fibroids, I knew instantly again that I needed to ensure that I was looking after myself, because one of the things that can exacerbate fibroids is stress. And when I discovered that I had fertility challenges, I was still grieving my mum. I was still finding my feet after she passed away, and I was still working in a high pressured role in corporate. And so I knew that I had to change something in order for me to, one, take care of myself, slow down, but also for me to look after what was going on internally. So it wasn't just about external feelings. It was 100% for me what was really going on internal, because it wasn't just the fibroids. It wasn't just the scar tissue or the polycystic ovaries. It was also the fact that I was having allergy issues as well. So my body was in complete shutdown, and it was up to me to be able to firstly digest what was going on, but also then to investigate what was going on, and then to come up with a plan. You see, I can't help myself. Project management 101, it always comes down to that with me, because that's how my brain works. And so I needed to listen. And one of the things that was really clear to me was that I had a lot of stress in my life. And so my quick wins were to look at what I was eating, and also to exercise and look at my sleep health and my supplements. The longer term things that I decided to do was quit my job in corporate and really take heed on what I really wanted and desired. and make that space for healing and also for conceiving. And I know for some people it's like, whoa, 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 Alicia, what about your financials? What about life? How can I do that? But I forward planned, I had saved for this period. And so that was easy for me. I'm not saying go out and leave your job, but what I'm saying to you is start thinking about the things that you could do. I started to look around my household. I made sure that I wasn't using anything toxic on my body, because remember, our bodies are our biggest organs. And so whatever we use on top of it, we internalize it. And a lot of the times we don't even realize that we are going around putting toxic things in our bodies. I think the stats was over 200 toxic things goes on our bodies, and internally we internalize through our mouth on a day-to-day basis. And so I was very, very strict at what I did on my body externally and what I did internally as well. And that really helped. I went to the acupuncturist, not just to help me with my fertility, but he also helped me with my hormone imbalances, any stress that I was going through, and gave me herbal tea to help with shrinking my fibroids and also help with the polycystic ovaries and the scar tissues. And so that was really, really helpful for me as well, because then once I started to eliminate some of the things that was going on within my body, then I stopped stressing so much, right? And that's the thing. When we are ill, we don't realize that sometimes just the thought of being ill or being ill can overload and send cortisol rushing through our bodies. The stress hormone rushes through our body, and then we're overstressed and the body is not able to heal so much. So I'm going to just list the things that I did, just in case you want to take note with regards to how I lived my life. I've given you some, but I want to just give you a little bit more detail. And I'm also going to share with you what I did from a business perspective, but also what I'm continuing to do within my lifestyle now. Some of the things that I want you to look out for that may need further investigation if you think you may have fibroids are if you have heavy periods, your periods are lasting more than a week, you have constipation, you've got lower back issues, you've got pelvic floor pain or uterus pain, you feel like bloated all of the time. These can be some indications that you may have fibroids. It can also be genetic, like if your mum or your sister or your grandma or your aunt have suffered from fibroids, there may be a chance that you may also have fibroids. If you are African or Caribbean origin, then we are highly susceptible to fibroids as well, more than our white counterparties. I'm not completely sure why, but that's what the statistics say. So we need to be educating ourselves. And a lot of the studies show, I think I mentioned this before, that the growth of the fibroids are affected by the estrogen and the progesterone in your body. So for me, for example, when I did conceive, because I did, and I conceived naturally twice, the first baby didn't survive, but I have a beautiful, wonderful 4.5-year-old that is my miracle baby. And when I conceived, I had to have more scans because they were worried, because one of my fibroids was really close to my birthing canal. And when they did their first or second scan, it had grown to 4 centimeters from 2 centimeters. And so they were really, really worried that I might have to have a C-section, or that I would have complications in my birthing, which I did, but that wasn't because of the fibroids. And that's a conversation for another time. But all of that to say is that as soon as I found out that my fibroid had grown, that's when I made sure that I was taking all of these precautions to ensure that it did not grow anymore. And it didn't. Thank goodness it stayed at 4 centimeters, and then it shrunk back. So my quick wins and the things that really helped me before pregnancy was to quit sugar. that really helped with the inflammation in my body. And I'm going to do that again. I'll talk about that in a second. Sugar, 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 sugar. I love sweet stuff. I have done so throughout my life. And now I just have to find alternatives in order to not be a sugar monster. So I quit sugar, I quit processed food as much as I could. I stopped alcohol. And I must say that was one of the biggest things that really helped because of the sugar and the alcohol levels and just the fermentation as well. I also made sure that I added flax seeds to my diet for extra boost of omega 3s. I really, really looked at all of my supplements. I made sure that I was taking a great prenatal supplement in order to get what I needed with folate in it. I really worked on detoxifying my body. So I would skin brush my body. I would also do castor oil packs, not on my period, but before and after my period to really, really help with just releasing any toxins within my body because we hold on to a lot. Exercise. So as you can see, I'm glistening today. And that's because I just thought, you know what, just turn on the mic and do this podcast episode. It doesn't matter that you haven't got your makeup on and your eyebrows on and da 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 da. You are given information, critical information, as that when you are in these times where you can feel like you're doing everything that you can and your body is failing you. So I did exercise, but I didn't do high impact exercise. I did exercise that would make me sweat because you need to sweat to release toxins out of your body. But I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't adding more stress, cortisol in my body. I wanted to make sure that I was doing lower impact exercises, resistance work. So I did a lot of prenatal yoga when I was pregnant. But prior to that, I did a lot of Pilates because I'm a Pilates teacher. Again, I told you I love the well-being aspect. So I'm a Pilates and a bar teacher. So I did a lot of those classes because one, I was teaching, and two, I was taking care of my own body because I wanted to be strong in this pregnancy, especially when it's written down that you're a geriatric mother because you are over 35. I mean, what the hell? But my midwife was amazing. I got to see her right throughout my pregnancy, and she never made me feel that way. She was on my side for everything that I was doing from a natural perspective. She was also on hand just in case I needed any guidance or help from a medical perspective as well. But she was in awe of everything that I was doing. And I feel so thankful that I had her because not many people have the same midwife throughout their whole pregnancy. And so that was great. So I did that. I made sure that I slept as much as I could before pregnancy and also whilst I was pregnant, especially after having my miscarriage. I was on high alert. So I made sure that within the first 12 weeks, which was really difficult because I was feeling sick all the time. I wasn't being sick, but I was nauseous all of the time. So I made sure that I rested as much as I could. And again, I feel very lucky that I was able to give myself the gift of that. But it was really, really important to me, especially as I said, because I had a miscarriage and I had fertility issues. I ditched all of the plastic because when it comes to hormonal imbalances, yes, plastic is not great. So I eliminated it as much as I could, where I could, making sure that I only drank water out of glass bottles. I bought products that said that they would be PA free. I mean, we've got a lot better. But again, like microwaving your food, I don't use a microwave anymore. I try not to eat out as much or have my food in plastic containers as much. And that was really hard. And it still is hard. But I tried wherever I could. I had my hormones checked before I was pregnant. And then they were constantly checking my hormones over my pregnancy. And I'm due to have my hormones checked again, especially now as I'm in perimenopause. I want to make sure that I know where I am. And so that's going to be happening really soon. I mentioned the castor oil packs, and that really, really helped as well. Oh, and I did fertility massage as well. Again, just for detoxification, just to break down any of the stagnant blood around the fibroids to break down scar tissues and just to help with my hormone balances. I saw the acupuncturist. I drank Dong Qui. That was the main herb that was made up of the herb tea that my acupuncturist gave me. And that promoted new blood as well. And my research told me that was a really helpful herb for women who had uterine fibroids to drink. So I did that. But for you, please go ahead and check with a professional before you use herbs. And then I used my essential oils. My favorite was frankincense at the time and lavender, and I used those as well. And that just really helped me to stay stress free, but also I knew that I was doing the best for myself. And that was really helpful. And so I know now that when I'm not doing certain things within my body tells me that. And I am in a place now where I know that I've not been 100%. And that's not down to just me not caring, but it's also down to the juggle over the last couple of weeks. I've been juggling my daughter finishing preschool, my brother finishing his job. He works term times as well, and just making sure that their timetables are all set for this time period to ensure that they're not at home just bored has had me a little bit stressed. About being at two ends of the age scale, a 4.5-year-old and a 30-year-old, it can sometimes be difficult to juggle, but that's what I've been doing. So I'm only human. And when I can feel that some of my older habits peeking back in, I know that it's time for a reset. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next 21 days. I want to do a reset of my body to ensure that I am giving it the maximum nutrition, but I'm also taking time to look after my brain health, my skin, my internal health. So I'll be looking at what I'm eating, my sleep health. So I'll be making sure that I go to bed at a reasonable time for the next 21 days. I'll be doing a social media detox as well. I'll be ensuring that I exercise every day. And so I want to know if you want to join me on this journey, 21 days. I am going to be doing it. I am going to be ensuring that I tell people what I'm doing. So although I'm going to be doing a social media detox, I am also going to be sharing what I'm doing. Some of it will be in real time. Some of it won't be, because I intend to be off social media at the weekends to ensure that I give myself time to ground back into who I am and what I want. And this is all good practice for me, especially as we are coming into a new season and a new quarter. I want to make sure that I'm showing up for myself in the best capacity that I can be, but also that I'm looking after my family and I am being a great role model for my daughter. So I'm going to be sharing with her what I'm doing. I never hide away from how I'm feeling as a woman. If I'm feeling pain, I let her know. If I'm having a period, even though she doesn't really understand, I don't hide that away from her. I want to make sure that she knows that she can come and talk to me, but I'm also wanting to share with her the things that are happening within so that she can take care of herself and any children that she may have. She is equipped to educate them as well, because I think that is one of the main issues. Whilst I was just doing some research about this podcast episode, I went out and I was reading some blogs and I found an article that was shared about 30 ladies who had fibroids, and a lot of them had to have hysterectomies. And now that's a choice, but it got me thinking, I wonder if they knew or if they had the option to try something natural, or did they try natural and it still didn't work for them? And I just don't want people to think that is the only option for them, especially in this day and age when there's so much more research done. We've still got a way to go, but there's more research out there. And like I said, I will be advocating for holistic health forever and ever. Amen. Because that's what gave me my baby girl. I had not listened to my internal gut who said, Alicia, you know that from a holistic standpoint that there is more that you can do. Just go and explore your options. Then she may not have been here. And so I will be forever grateful for my intuition, but I'll be forever grateful for those around me that supported me in that time of need and were there with different options and different advice. And so I want to make sure that I can be there for others to do the same. And so even if you just want to have a chat, then please, again, use the Let's Chat link in the show notes and let's have a chat about health and business if you want. But this episode, I really, really just wanted you to know that you are not alone. And also, I wanted to give you some background on my story and what I've done and how I've helped my own body to, one, shrink my fibroids, but also to conceive. And so I am here for you if you need me. And so, like I said, for the next 21 days, I will be documenting my story and I will be ensuring that I keep them so that I can share them on a blog, or maybe I will just make it a vlog. Oh, maybe I'll do that in the future. But I want to show you that just using exercise and well-being and food and supplements and looking after yourself from a self-care perspective, including your sleep, then you may be able to really feel the difference within your body as well. So I hope you'll join me. I will share the links of where I will be posting. If you feel like you want to do this as a community, then I am going to invite you to sign up to my newsletter, because I will be sharing within my newsletter as well on my progress and also how we can do this together for the next 21 days. So I really, really look forward to having you on this journey with me. And yeah, let's do this. Let's take our own lifestyles into our own hands. Okay. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please go ahead and share it with somebody else that may need to hear this information. If you are interested in working with me, remember I am a holistic project manager. The work that I do is business growth strategy and also implementation. So I will help you to build a strategic plan to move your lifestyle and your business goals forward. And then I will also help you to implement those goals as well, because I want to see you get a return on your investment. Anyway, take care for now, and I will see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.